you hit something that I thought was very fascinating. When you were at Crystal Palace, you said the education first, and it's the same model they have in the university system here. Something I was actually reading recently on Alex Ferguson, how he had his struggle at Man United, where he's like, they're making him go to school in the youth academy system, where I'm like, if their potential is to be a soccer player, forget the school, 24/7 it's got to be soccer, okay? And I want, like, now that, you know, the model is so congested in the NCAA where they're playing so much and education around, I want to know what's your opinion on that. Does that hinder development in the States based on this model?
Right. So I think what happened is in England, the reason it became so much of a struggle was because the funding at the time, not now, but at the time, the funding came from the government. So it was through the professional footballers. It was a company called the FFE-VTS, which is the Further Footballers Association or Vocational Training Scheme, I think, if I'm right. So a lot of the funding came. So if they were using government money, they didn't want government money just going into soccer clubs. And soccer clubs back then weren't as well run as they are, certainly today. I mean, there was, you know, it was the old pro, you know, who just stopped playing. His best mate became his assistant. And, you know, when I first went to a Palace youth game, there was one physio, one assistant coach, one head coach, and a bus driver. That was the four. Now you go to an academy game under 12 and there's 4 or 5 people on the side. So the whole game's changed. But Alex Ferguson is right. The concept, that's why I said about that course. I was there 1 year and I'm fighting the coaches because of a moral standpoint. You know, we brought these kids in, our money was coming from the government, and the government were putting all these demands on players. And I went back to the government and said, listen, here's what's happening. You're bringing these kids in, and the footballers want them to be footballers. You want them to be academics, and the kids have got no chance, because if they scrap the soccer, they're not going to get a career, and then they've got to go back into mainstream education, and what you're providing them won't work. And then if they scrap the education and the football, they might not get to play because their funding could be cut. So what we did is, and that's why we went back to them and said, look, what you need to do is, you know, as you improve the soccer culture, as you get coaches being more professional, and honestly, if you look at a professional soccer club now, there's more educated people in there than most banks, right? So it's changed. It wasn't then, but it's changed. So you needed to have something that supported the kids and gave the kids educational credits for what they were doing, because they were working with high-class physios, doing development plans, doing technical plans, doing biology plans, looking at their diet. I mean, it was all based around the individual. And soccer clubs took that on board, the government took that on board, and we changed. Now, when I came to America, I watch, and, you know, professional footballers, even back then, were treated better than a lot of, you know, not all the top colleges, but these sort of second and, you know, lower, smaller colleges. You know, these kids are travelling on a 15-seater passenger van and expecting to study whilst they're going backwards and forwards to games. And I think, as I said, it's the moral dilemma of trying to make sure these kids are educated. And then the schools would probably say, well, we provide the funding, so we want to make sure that our academic results don't suffer. But there's so many things wrong with, in my opinion, with the college game. I mean, the fact you play it in such a small season, I'm not so sure that it's even developmental. And if you want to quote me on something, so when I first came to America, and the boy, you might better chase, but the top boy player, the number 1 ranked kid at the time, was a boy called David Walters, and he played at Penn State. And I'd done a comparison to him, David Walters, to Wayne Routledge. And Wayne Routledge, who's now playing at Swansea City, but he played me. He was our sort of star player, played for England under 21s, 15. I'd done a comparison study to him at one of the the National Coaches Soccer Association of America. One of their things, I did a presentation. Wayne played something like between 16 and 21, or 16 and 20, 16 and 21, plays like 233 games at various levels, international, youth, whatever. David Walters played 76, and because he played in a top Division 1 college program. Wayne had trained something like an average of, I can't remember, it was 800 hours a year, whereas David Walters was like 230. So the two, you can't compare the two systems because they're completely different. And I think that in professional football, college soccer is a barrier for the kids. It's not a support. It's the barrier. And it worked for a while because there wasn't as many teams. But now America's really got the professional leagues going in the right direction. There's more opportunities. I think the amount of kids that could go straight to pro would not be missed in college soccer. And my feeling is this, that who says that you're finished as a scholar when you're 18 or 20, right? Like me personally, I didn't go back to college until I was like 19, maybe 20 at the time. People who I know went to college straight from school didn't do half the things I did, so I traveled the world and done a lot of stuff. So to me, I think that in America, if you weren't a player by the time you were 21, that's the time when you go back to college. So I think that what we could do in America is really start from the professional soccer side, is look at, if there's a kid that we truly believe could be a soccer player, give him the best opportunity, or her, if it goes to the girls, give them the best opportunity to be a player. And then if they fail, then support them through college, not back to front. And I think that you wouldn't be talking about hundreds of kids. You're talking about, the select few that you truly believe can be the soccer player. That's how I think the American system should start to look at it. And I think that college soccer now has to really understand where they fit in the pecking order now. There's a lot of things above them. When I first came here in 2003, college soccer was still probably what everyone was aiming for. But now it's not. Now you've got all these pro clubs. Kids they'd be quite happy to bypass college. And I think some parents would even support that if there was a sort of safety net provision for them if they didn't make it.
No, I mean, you hit it. You hit the hammer on the nail, Derek. I truly appreciate that. It's funny how you say that. I had a buddy that decided to go to a very big time Division I university. And then after he finished his 4-year, got his education, he's like, okay, I have a safety net. Like you just said, the safety net. He wanted to go to Germany to play. Not first division, third division. And then right off the bat, they asked him, what's your CV, resume? Where'd you play? Okay, what national team? No. I played at this Division I. How old are you? 22. That's too old. And you haven't played any national team caps, any youth academy teams. That's too old. So it's funny because they're in the system of, have you got your foot in the door at 14, 16? And after that, if you're going to go at 22, you're already a senior. So that's the fighting dilemma with that.